All right, guys, now the champ is here, Liz Carmouche, the Bellator flyweight champion. I don't need to introduce her to you, but it would be rude of me to not do so. Liz, just how is it? San Antonio, we talked a couple weeks ago, but anything crazy happened since then, or just smooth sailing into a fight week?
No, pretty smooth sailing. Yeah, got in San Antonio, didn't realize that the Riverwalk was spitting distance from us.
No, I had no idea
When
either.
they said, like, oh, go for a walk out to the river, go check it out, I thought, like, I'd be driving out to the river,
right.
not just, like, I stumbled upon it taking my dog for a walk. So it's probably the only nice, surprise, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I know. I didn't see that coming either, but got to check it out a little bit more. You did seem a little bit disappointed by the lack of a bikini car wash photo shoot, I will say.
I think my wife was definitely disappointed.
Yeah, right. So that would have been something.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you need is a gorilla with lipstick on.
Yes. Hey, I mean, it'd be something new. So today, Liz, I mean, since we just caught up recently, I want to try and talk as little about MMA as possible and distract yourself a little bit, at least from the in-cage stuff. But this is a question I thought was interesting recently, and I know I asked Dakota and a couple other people, but it fascinates me to ask a fighter, like, especially someone of your experience, what would you say is like the most overrated thing about MMA? And this is just in a general sense, but
In a good way or a bad way?
just however you interpret it, what you would say.
I think probably the most overrated thing is the fame that comes with it.
Okay.
I think that so often people are in chase of the fame because they think that it gets them good paydays. They think that it gets them sponsorships. It gives them free things.
Yeah.
People notice them. For one, I didn't get into the sport for that. It's not what I wanted at all. So there's that. But then two, people overlook how much sacrifice we have to do. And that the fame is a part of it, but you can have fame and not get any of those other things. Right? Like, I know people that are less famous than I am in terms of just MMA accomplishments, and they have endorsement deals, and they have millions of followers, and I have like 20,000 followers, you know, like, but people want to get into the sport for those reasons, but there's so much sacrifice that goes into it. The fight medicals, you're an independent contractor, you have to pay your coaches, you have to pay your manager, you know,
stuff
like,
people don't think about.
People don't think about, and they're like, they get into it like, well, I had no idea. Like, I was just trying to, I know what you're trying to do. Like, yeah, we're not talking about it, but it's not cheap. Like, how often have I fought where I paid to fight, not got paid to fight?
How many times would you say?
Far too often.
We're past those days, though, thankfully. Do people still mention the Uriah Faber twinning at all?
Actually, I don't even think that somebody realized it, but he said, he's like, hey, do you still train over at Uriah's gym? I'm like, what? Yeah, you and Uriah, you're really close, right? Like,
oh, man.
And he was serious, and I'm like, I've never trained at Uriah's gym. He's like, nothing against, I've just never trained there. Like, I live in San Diego, he's in Sacramento. It's like, I could have sworn, I'm like, I know where you're getting the mix up and the mistake, and it's not. No, we've never trained together.
That's hilarious. Wow. How recent was that? Did you say it is?
That happened in the workout room.
Oh, okay. This was just
2 days ago. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Okay. Shift gears a little bit. I think that there is an answer to this question, but does misogyny exist in MMA?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I'd love to say that it doesn't, and we've certainly made so much progression past it, but it is still a male-dominant sport. And there's still so many people where I've gone into doctors' offices to do my fight medicals, and they're like, why am I filling out this form? I'm like, oh.
Wow.
I'm like, because I have to do this, like, can you actually make money? Do women actually fight?
Really?
I'm like, why are we still doing this? And just, they're so rude, and they sign it and they like toss the paperwork at you. So it definitely still exists.
Wow.
Or guys that come up to you like, do you really think that you could beat me and you're so tough? I'm like, I'm just standing here. I didn't say anything to you.
I'm existing.
What?
Yeah. And that was kind of me springboarding off the car wash thing a little bit, just because, you know, it's funny where the mind went. But like ring girls, for example, you know, I mean, I like people to have jobs, but how do you feel about it in this day and age?
Yeah, I think that when I'm there, I don't even notice that they're right. It's just like, I'm just part of the process, and they're just essentially the background. Yeah. Right. But yeah, that's definitely different. I know that there was an event in San Diego that they threw where they had, because it was a mostly women's MMA event, the guy was trying to think different. So his ring people were men.
Yes, I do like that idea.
Right?
You know,
so
balance it out.
Just balance it out. You see the guys are like, why is this going on? I think, and then the same people, same group, that organization, their next event, they did men and women. And I'm like, well, that's fair. That's a good balance,
Right.
you know, and then you're not, but I also understand if you look at the fan base for MMA, it's predominantly still men between the ages of 18 and 38 or
Right.
36 or
Yeah.
something. So you still have to appeal to the market. I do get it.
Did you hear Sean Strickland's comments around UFC 297?
No.
Okay, so kind of this thought, about the women not being at this level and nobody wants to watch them fight. Kind of that fan embodied into a fighter, and it was just kind of interesting. That was the same fight card as Bueno Silva and Raquel Pennington, and he's very against that as well. Just, I guess, what do you think there's any way that kind of mentality will ever escape a thing like fighting? It's hard to imagine.
I think to some degree, we have to say it's like a shift in society, how roles, how people see people, and there has been progression, but to some degree, no, because fighting is a raw instinct for who we are. Everybody has that flight or fight response, and so I think with that, because like you'll see people having never trained, like, yeah, I could beat them.
Right.
Like, I don't look at people in the NFL going, yeah, I could take him down. I could definitely throw. I look at them like, holy crap, these people are huge.
Yeah.
And you stand next to them, you're not. And you'll see like an 18-year-old kid that's never fought a day in his life that like trips over his own feet and he's like, I could fight you.
Okay.
Okay,
Think
buddy.
what you want.
Right, but it's just a part of ego, being young, being ego. I think it's just a lack of education into MMA and seeing the skill set that women display, and then just societal shifts in the norms of what we expect from women.
I think too, kind of in terms of comparing sports, and I've talked to some other fighters about it too, but like with fighting, it's theoretically something everyone can just do. You can just go right now. We could just start fighting if we wanted to. It wouldn't be a good idea on my part, but in terms of basketball or team sports or football, you can't just go and do it. And people have more often than not, boys or whatever growing up played them and have that experience like, all right, I'm not the best.
Yeah.
They kind of get that rather than having their ass beat by somebody at some point. You think that's kind of a fair way to look at it too?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the most accessible sport. Right? We make our MMA artists on social media way more accessible than most other sports. There's that. And then, yeah, it's just an instinct that we all have. If you come into a really bad situation, you assess it and you go, crap, should I run out of here? Or do I need to gear up and get ready to fight? Right? That's just an instinct of who we are. So I think by the nature of being human, everybody thinks they can fight.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Which does make sense, but maybe not the smartest times. What is a cause that Liz Carmouche is most passionate about?
I think working with autistic children, and then my wife and I are doing a nonprofit, and we're trying to breed puppies for service dog work with injured veterans. And we'd like to, if we can get this large enough, to also help autistic children.
Okay.
Because we've seen from our last litter, every single puppy from our last litter went to service dog work. We only trained one of them to be a service dog, but every family that they went to is helping a child with epilepsy, helping a child with autism, went to a fire station to help firefighters when they're coming back from bad scenes, went to a hospital, like all of them went somewhere. So that's something that we're both passionate about, is trying to help people and finding healthy dogs that want to work to do that.
I'm not surprised there's the animal inclusion from from the zoo you got going on there, but that's awesome. That is a great cause for sure. And any big fears, Liz? Is there everybody kind of, some spiders, like something like that, but I don't know. Do you have any things that get you?
I mean, yeah, I hate spiders. I wouldn't say that I'm scared of them,
Right.
But like rightfully so. I grew up in Okinawa, Japan, and
Like
they're like
heights
spiders
or
that would
things
like
like that.
chase you.
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
like attack you. And there's venomous, poisonous spiders. Same thing with snakes. But like unrealistic fears.
Yeah, irrational fear.
Yeah, completely irrational fears. No, I don't think I have any really irrational ones. I mean, besides the idea that could happen, just the economy could flip all of a sudden, and then there's no longer desire for MMA, so I no longer have a job.
Okay.
But that's a real fear.
Yeah, that's
that's a
fair,
rational fear.
Do you get like scared easily from like jumps or things like that if you're watching
No,
a movie?
I like to skydive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that about.
But I don't
seals.
like to tandem skydive. I love individual skydiving.
Oh, really?
But being attached to somebody and them like being in control.
So
of
you
it,
have
I
to do
don't
that
like
at first, though, right? Like when you start out. 'Cause
No,
I've
you
never
can do
done
a
it.
course. So I went with a friend and we initially went tandem.
Okay.
And like we jump out of there, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this.
Kind of
Like,
constricted
did you not
feeling, or-
like just having somebody? My friend got stuck with someone who was just having a bad day at work. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Threw his helmet off, and my friend's like, oh, and he's like, let's just go. Screw this. He's like, no.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to say right there.
And so I'm seeing that. I'm like, yeah, he's in control of him. He had no. He may not have wanted to, but he had no say. And then just the idea that like if the landing was poor, by him, not even by me,
Yeah.
if the person I was with made a mistake, I'm not in control of the mistake that happens. He is.
Okay.
And so just not liking that. Once I went skydiving on my own, I'm like, yeah, if I make a mistake, it's just 100% on me. And I did make a mistake.
Right.
I was having fun doing turns and I overshot from the roadway and landed in a tree. So I definitely made a big mistake. But I'm like, yeah, that was my fault. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know.
How'd you get down? Just kind of climb, or?
Yeah, like shimmy down. It was a very small tree, thankfully, and I was at the end of it, so I was able to like pull my chute and drop to my feet.
Man, that's amazing. I get that though. That is, yeah, lack of control kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. Okay, last thing for you, Liz. Any big pet peeves or things like that that annoy you?
Oh, I have so many pet peeves.
Biggest
I'm like a super quirky individual. I have so many pet peeves. Germs is a big one.
Okay.
And everyone's like, well, how do you get into MMA?
Right.
Like, that's because I shower after every single.
Stay clean.
I'm the only person in my gym that like has 7 pairs of clothing, and I change after every single practice, wipe down after every single practice. Like, I don't wear shoes in my house. I don't believe in shoes near the bed. Like, that's disgusting to me. Like, even in my hotel room, it's like shoes off to the door.
Yep, same.
And like, I'd like to have 2 beds so I can have like one that's a dirty bed, one's a clean bed. So if I want to sit in the room,
Okay, a little OCD.
a little bit.
I am too. It's okay.
So that's probably the biggest pet peeve is just germ stuff.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. That is kind of funny though for the lifestyle, indeed.
Yeah.
But all right, Liz. Well, best of luck as always. Cannot wait for this weekend and just the whole season. You know, really excited, and see if I keep following you around.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thank you.